Gerrard open to Villa move. Pogba wants astonishing Manchester United deal. Klopp makes January plans and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, and Steven Gerrard is apparently open to moving to Aston Villa. The current Rangers manager has been linked with the job after Dean Smith was sacked at Villa Park. That followed 5 defeats in a row, and it's brought an unfortunate end to one of the greatest managers in Villa's recent history. It looks increasingly likely that Gerrard will actually end up moving to the Premier League for his first Premier League job. It looks like he's been primed to take over Liverpool eventually, but he probably needs some experience in England's top tier before then, and Aston Villa, in my opinion, provides the perfect opportunity for it. I think when you look at the top teams in the Premier League, you won't be expected to necessarily break into the top 6 anytime soon. Aston Villa are too good to go down, so he's really got a bit of time to, work with the players and implement his tactical systems at Aston Villa. This could be the perfect job before, like I mentioned, he makes a step up to Liverpool when Jurgen Klopp eventually leaves in a few years' time. On top of this, he's already got a good relationship with Villa CEO Christian Ronaldo, who was the managing director at Liverpool when Gerrard was a player, and that can only strengthen the bond and the trust that they've got throughout the management team at Aston Villa. And on top of all of this, there's quite a few good English players at Villa Park as well, who I'm sure will not only know Steven Gerrard from his playing days, but also be an absolute awe and respect the one-time England and Liverpool midfielder. He's got insane reputation in the English game and around Europe as well, from his on-the-pitch exploits, and looking at his managerial career at Rangers, he's also built up a wealth of experience there and has got a few trophies under his belt as well. Of course, at this point in the season, it might be a little bit dangerous for Rangers to lose their manager, but if Villa do come calling and he wants to take the job, I'm not really sure there's much they'll be able to do. Moving on then, and to the latest on the Paul Pogba contract situation, and I know we spoke about it yesterday because he's injured now after France international duty and he may not play another game for Manchester United, but the latest reports are that Paul Pogba has said he will sign a new contract with Manchester United as long as they make him the most highly paid player in the Premier League, more than Cristiano Ronaldo, over £500,000 per week, and I don't believe it. Honestly, not even like in a bad way, I just don't believe it. I just do not believe, surely, Paul Pogba has made it to the top of football. He is one of the most talented players in the world. I mean, he's a professional footballer, which already puts him ahead of millions of people around the world who play football. I'm sure that he's very, very well aware of his own poor form at the minute. He's aware of the criticism. He's aware that his contract is running out. So there's no way that he, or even via his agent, he's gone into Manchester United and gone, look guys, I know I've been pretty bad at the moment, but if you make me the highest paid player in the Premier League, I promise I'll sign a new contract and I'll be really, really good. I can't see it happening. I think this report is a load of rubbish, and I'm not so sure that Paul Pogba wants to actually sign a new contract. The only way that I can see this being true is that he's basically using it as some sort of PR campaign to get more money from any club that wants to sign him on a free transfer next summer, by basically saying, look, United were going to give me 500k per week, so you've got to up that. Probably not, but maybe, just maybe, this could be happening because, yeah, this new contract to Manchester United, I'm sure the club, after all the criticism they've been receiving, will not be shelling out such ridiculous amounts of money for Paul Pogba. Honestly though, you may think that that's the weirdest thing to come out of Manchester United in the last week or so, but it's not, because apparently new signing Jadon Sancho is being trained as a wing-back. After joining from Dortmund, it's fair to say he hasn't exactly adapted to life in the Premier League, but on top of this, he hasn't really been given a fair run in the team by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's got 0 assists and 0 goals in his game so far, and it looks as though with the switch to a 3-5-2, he may be retrained, as has been spotted at Manchester United's training ground, as a right wing-back. Certainly, if you combine him and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you'd have a great player. Sancho's attacking brilliance, Wan-Bissaka's defensive brilliance, but it's obvious that neither of them could be trusted to do the whole job by themselves, so Sancho is apparently being retrained. I can't see this one ending very well for him. Right then, moving on, and yesterday in the transfer roundup we had a brief mention of Jarrod Bowen being high on Jurgen Klopp's transfer target list, and there are a few other names joining them today as well. Jurgen Klopp faces rather a tough January. He has got to make some plans because he's got 3 first-team players who are going to be out of action and away at the African Cup of Nations. Egypt will be taking Mo Salah with them for, with their team, maybe the whole tournament, and the same thing goes for Sadio Mane with Senegal, and on top of this, Getty will be taking midfielder Naby Keita. This leaves Jurgen Klopp with a bit of a hole in his squad, and apparently Marcelo Brozovic is one of them to fill the gap. Now yes, I know what you're going to be thinking, Matt. You've been talking in the last few days about Brozovic joining Barcelona, and I did in this video, which you can find right here. But he's completely up for grabs. With 7 months left on his deal, he'll be able to sign on a rather cheap deal in January, if not a free transfer at the end of the season. That, of course, doesn't really affect Liverpool because, well, by the end of the season, all 3 of those African players will be back in the squad. So if they go ahead and sign him on a cheap and bring him in, they'll be getting a very, very good midfielder to not only cover for Naby Keita, but to also help just push the squad in general and have good competition for places in the midfield. If they're not to bring him in, then I'm sure this will mean a lot more minutes for young promising midfielder Curtis Jones. In the attacking areas though, along with Jarrod Bowen, there's Arnaud Danjuma, who actually played for Bournemouth a couple of seasons ago, but is now applying his trade at Villarreal, and his form has been so good, especially in the Champions League, that Liverpool are reportedly very interested in bringing him back to the Premier League. It's one of those moves where they wouldn't necessarily sign him from Bournemouth, but going to Villarreal, improving, like I mentioned, playing in Europe's top competition, has actually made Liverpool think that this could be a feasible deal. They could not only sign him to cover the likes of Mane and Salah in January, but moving forward as well, he's a great young player to have in the squad, especially if the likes of Divock Origi and Takumi Minamino are to be departing the club soon as well. Next up then, we move to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's news and transfer news that you might have missed. And PSG women player Aminata Diallo has been arrested by French police after an investigation onto an attack on her teammates on the 4th of November. Ross Barkley is interesting the likes of Burnley on a potential loan deal in January. Antonio Conte has banned condiments like ketchup and mayonnaise from the Spurs players and has apparently told a few of them that they're overweight and they need to shape up. And lastly but not least, Czech billionaire Daniel Kretinsky has completed his purchase of a 27% stake in West Ham United. So that's all from me then. Make sure you check back tomorrow for loads more OneFootball content.